Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. However, the date that we know that all over us, there are bank holidays, I would like to thank our today's speaker regarding the Athena talks, Professor Piotr Streniawski. Piotr is participating in a lot of online events that we are doing, either within the Athena talks or the Impact, and we are very thankful to him for the supporting. And also, I think that during his talk, he's going to present a new idea on what he would like to do together with the Athena partners, or I suspect that he's going to do this. His today talk is entitled Hierarchies Rivalry Theory, Beginnings of a Theory in Social Sciences. This topic reflects his interests, his research interests, since Professor Streniawski in the Marie Curie University in Poland, partner in the Athena Consortium, is a very active scientist around various scientific theories and organizer of many events projects relating to the public sphere. And one of the priorities of the alliances and any university is the civic engagement. So I will say that, what he's going to present is of our interest, particularly for me from the position that I have. I'm eager, to listening, Piotr, on what he will say. He's a very keen on learning about teaching. So I hope that we are going to meet him, in Crete in order to attend, our conference about pedagogies and technologies in modern higher education. So the floor is yours, Piotr. I'm looking forward to listening your presentation and then some questions and some discussion with our exclusive club today will happen with you. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Sometimes I hear that social sciences are not real sciences, like they cannot explain how to build a bridge or something like that. But from other perspectives, we can say that they are interesting. If we have political elections or choices that people make. So I hope this will be interesting. Thank you very much all for coming, and I will try to share my presentation. Okay. Perhaps you see a painting here. So today is the 3rd of May, a holiday in Poland related to our constitution. Can you see it? 2 paintings. So first painting, on the one on the left, you can see it's a crowd of people, and it's about adopting the Polish-Lithuanian constitution, because it was one country then, and it was quite interesting, I think. Who paid for paying that painting? It was painted in 1806, so times of Napoleon, or some period that Poland had hopes that Napoleon would help, something like that. So if you see that painting of Jan Matejko, which is much more famous, and there is this guy who is holding the constitution, can you see him? So he is the guy who paid for painting the other painting. So he was the marshal of the 4-year Sejm, Małachowski, an interesting figure, like quite progressive for his times. But when actually Napoleon came to Poland and he started to involve in politics there, it turned out that Małachowski is from another era. He was not understanding bureaucracy or a centralized state. So we can see that times can show like a human that is reflecting some old ideas and so on. I will try to go back to my first screen. I will stop sharing for a moment. I will go back to my presentation. But during this time, I will show you that I have this book. Can you see it? So this is the book that I wrote about the theory. So it's like 4 or 5 years of my work about creating and promoting this theory. Maybe one day it will be more famous, but I'm still doing it and looking forward to it. So we have this theory. Why did I come up with this name? So I thought that if I talk about competition, this would sound like too economical, too related to economics, to the market, and so on. So I thought maybe rivalry. It's not a common word. Like there is rivus in Latin, that people using the same river and like competing. So competition, rivalry, it can be like about mating habits of animals, humans, and so on. So we have rivalry, some fight, some competition. What about these hierarchies? If we are going to have some Greek words here, or some words with Greek origin. So I could talk about ideas or about organizations, but they both would be too precise and too vague, too general at the same time. So I thought that hierarchies would be also a characteristic word, and theory also a word with Greek origin. So like a way of seeing things, looking at things. So the agenda is like this. So I would like to show you how it happened, how I had this eureka moment that I came up with the theory. Then I will tell you about the basic concepts, maybe not all of them, but some of them, and maybe where can this theory be implemented. Then I will tell you about what went wrong, or what I still didn't manage to do, because it's still like theory in the making, during the process of making. Then I will tell you what I already did. So I wrote some articles, the book that I've shown you, and I have ideas how to promote it. Maybe I could make a course, but still I don't have like students who would develop the idea and so on. So it's still beginning. And at the end, maybe I'm not such a good person to answer questions. Well, I'm terrible at answering questions, but we may work together on things. So we may think what the problems are, what you think of the problems, and maybe it will be a better solution than just asking me questions. Okay, so we have this eureka moment. This was the beginning. I was at a training of karate. I trained karate, and I don't take part in competitions, but they were training like better people, or people that take part in competitions, and they needed some sparring partners. So the sensei said, "Okay, can you join us just for a training fight?" And I say, "Okay." So I stand against this guy, 20-something years of age, and we train. And there were these rules. He didn't explain them, but it was like one of the ways of competing in that style. So I had 3 attacks, and the other guy had 3 attacks, and I scored 1 point. So out of 3 attacks, 1 was successful. And it was his time for attacking. So I blocked first attack, second attack, and then I saw that he's like not sure what to do. So I attacked him. And I thought, wow, I hit him, so I'm sure that I won. And the judge said, the referee said, illegal move, 2 points to that guy, and he won, which is okay with me. It's only interesting because I didn't know that that move was illegal. And a month later, that person became champion of Europe. So he was not that bad. But it was really a eureka moment. I understood something like, wow, it's interesting. So let me show you another picture. It's not very scientific, but if you look at this, probably it's AI generated. I took it from Pixabay. But which guy is like better? Which one would be more, I don't know, trustworthy? Or who would you prefer for your brother or son or a friend? So I think it's not that obvious. It might be obvious for someone. Well, I don't know. So, you know what I'm talking about? That a situation can be judged from different perspectives. And I understood that these are hierarchies. So you can judge a situation from a system of norms, or is it our guy? Is it our friend? Do I know him already? So, it's about like subjectivity of judging actions. So point number 2, I will tell you like the basic things here. So people represent hierarchies, people belong to hierarchies, but also hierarchies influence people and hierarchies compete. When I talked to some people, one professor asked if maybe they coexist. So it might be an option. But I think it's a way of competing, even if there is one dominant hierarchy and it's like putting other hierarchies down. Okay, so what are hierarchies here? So we can have both associations, I would say organizations, but this would not be like the exact word. So we have people, someone is more important, someone is less important, or someone has more influence and so on. But we also have systems of norms. So how to behave. These hierarchies, these types of hierarchies are usually like interconnected, or they are both at the same time. So for example, when we have a political party, it's also connected to ideology. It's an organization, but also has some system of norms. Or if we have a religious organization, we can find like someone holding a high position and some members, but usually there is religious ideology involved. So a system of norms, how to behave, what's legal, what's not okay, something like that. So people belong to many hierarchies at the same time. When I go to problems, it will be clear that these things can be explained by many other theories. So you can say, okay, it's a social role, it's an old construct of sociology, but I think that it can also be explained as belonging to a hierarchy and to many hierarchies, and they compete. So what's more important to you? That you're a family member of, or that you're a member of that party? Like when we look at corruption and so on. So are you a mafia member, or mafia is also related to families often. Or are you a patriot? It's belonging to which hierarchy is more important at the same time. So we can have a process of competition, of rivalry of those hierarchies, but at the same time, it's about judging a situation, a particular situation. So we can think which hierarchies influence a person. This can lead us to like theories of weird kind. So like conspiracy theories. But sometimes we can say, yeah, I believe there is influence of that hierarchy towards that decision of a minister, for example. Is it influence of his political party, or from Moscow, or from Brussels, or from Vatican? So you understand, people belong to hierarchies that influence them, but they at the same time represent those hierarchies. And when I will talk about theories and seeing of the theory, it also shows how the theory, this theory that I'm talking about is talking about theories and competing theories. So when someone is from that university, his ideas are seen differently than when he's from a like more famous university. So it's about fame, it's about loyalty, but I say it's also about competition, or about rivalry of hierarchies. As I told you, it began in karate, in sport karate, and sport is a very clear example of how this theory works, or how the competition or rivalry of hierarchies works. At this picture, we can see that the referee is like almost taking part in the process. But in Polish language, we have sędzia, which also means judge. So judge, referee. And I say that every observer makes judgments. Which hierarchy is more important at this time? So did he score a goal or a point or no? So you can have your opinion. Perhaps this is not fully developed if we analyze particular situations, but we have some basics of analyzing particular situations. So if we have sports, we have team members, some rules of the game, but we have federations, we have clubs, we have support like sponsors and also crowds looking at a game, and the clubs compete against one another. You understand? They want people to support their team. They want good players to be in their team. They compete for sponsors. Sometimes they try to change regulations. So I say that sport is quite a good example. It's a metaphor, but it also is like a good example of how the rivalry appears. But it also happens in science. Well, maybe this this illustration is more about like Anglo-Saxon universities, but in the scientific world, which is close to us, we can often find that there are two universities at the same town and they compete. Which one is better, or which school is better in a country or something like that? If we talk about European university and the idea, isn't it creating a hierarchy that will be able to compete against old universities or other universities and other organizations? It's competition for grants. It's rivalry about for students. It's, you know, in the scientific world, it's not only about like fame or money, but about whose theories will be taught. So maybe the top of the hierarchy, like of a school of thought, school of scientific, some methodology or something like that, is taking part in the rivalry. As I said, it's a different perception of a book, of even an article, or of words that someone's saying, depending on the university or the hierarchy that the person is representing. It shouldn't be like that, but a good musical critic is not thinking, oh, is this artist famous, or is the name already, you know, appreciated, but is the quality good? But from psychological point of view, it's not like that. It really influences people. That's why sometimes it's really important to have ways of reducing it by blind peer review. But during the blind peer review, you see the language that's used. You might see that it's a proper way of expressing oneself. So probably the guy or the person writing something is from a good hierarchy or our hierarchy. Well, I know it's controversial, but it's going to be more controversial. So going back to the paintings, I showed you the one here. Which one is the king? So it's number 17, as you can see, at the painting of Jan Matejko. He, you know, the painter was a rich man from a Czech family, painting important events in Polish history. He was a member of many academia in France, in Germany. A very interesting painter, famous for composing his paintings like in a cinematic way. But we can see that the Małachowski, the sponsor of the other painting, is the central figure here. And many people make a mistake and think this is the king. No. Okay, so we have the composition, but we can also talk about competition in art, rivalry of artistic schools. Like, sorry for talking about such things, but it was famous some years ago how FBI supported like expressionism and other movements, like, well, when fighting against communism and so on. So we have ideologies fighting, rivalry between dynasties, and kings often tried to look good at paintings or be painted by famous or good painters. But it also works the other way around. So someone becomes famous when he paints the king. Okay. Maybe we could talk more about fame, promotion, how market works in the art world or in music or in literature, but we can go further. So there are offshoots of the theory. Maybe some of them will be even more interesting than the basics of the theory itself. For example, I was wondering how the norms make systems, how the systems of norms are made. And I understood that it's done by learning. So we're also interested in pedagogy. How does this happen? So I say it's organizational learning of people, or we can say socialization, when a child is learning what is good, what is not good. But I think that we can apply it to legal sciences. So I came up with this idea that it's based on similarities. So similarity as archetype of law, like the basic assumption. We need to have similarities to have any laws. I don't know if you agree with that. It's quite new. I wrote maybe 2 articles about this thing. It's not generally known yet, but I think it's not that often that people like search for ideas. What is law? When I searched for it, maybe there was this guy Leon Petrarzycki, one of the greatest philosophers of law. My grandfather used to go to his lectures like 100 years ago, and maybe a little bit less than that, but he thought, he was wondering what law is. And I do the same thing. I say it's based on similarity. It's finding similarities, and then it's making hierarchies, and that's how a system of norms is created. And then we can talk about how different systems of norms compete. So I applied for 2 grants, didn't win in either case, but I applied for 2 grants related to this theory. When I applied for the first grant, it was supposed to be about rivalry of systems of legal norms. So European law, Polish law, self-governmental law, and like ideas, which from Austro-Hungary comes, like which ideas comes from France, which are American, which are from other sources, other schools of science even. And I got reviews that how do you want to apply the theory if it's not ready yet? You must work on the basics first. Okay, so I worked on the basics. I wrote a grant proposal to work on the basics of this theory. I wanted to work on language, what terms I'm using in this theory, to ask people from many disciplines of science how they see similarities with existing theories, how they could apply this theory. And this time I got, please don't laugh at it, but I got reviews that it's too general and I should concentrate on applying a theory. So I think it's not a problem. Perhaps I should do it without a grant and just work on the basics of the theory and try to apply it as much as I can. It's an interdisciplinary theory or multidisciplinary. So we can look for problems or cases that can be found in history, or we can analyze history, and we need to create a model. I'm not saying I should do it, but me with other people. I am not the owner of the theory. I have created it, but I am not able to make it good enough. I think there will be people that will be better in it. So if we analyze history or today's world, politics, like office politics, anything, this can give some results. So I'm looking for people from many backgrounds, like language sciences, organizational sciences. But as this theory says itself, people will intuitively use other theories to describe this theory. And I say it should be defended, like we should develop our set of terms, and then it will be maybe a little bit institutional, to make institutions, to make like the net of ideas of terms. Okay. There are many controversial topics here. How religions compete. There are religious wars. How religion influences system of laws in a country, or the way of treating women, and so on. We can talk about corruption. Is it about loyalty? Is it about rivalry of hierarchies? Is, again, family more important to you, or good of the state? So it can be understood or seen from psychological perspective or social psychology. But it can be seen from this theory, from the point of view of this theory that we are talking about. If we analyze war, it's often seen that the borderline between hierarchies is the most, hot place where there is like real conflict and the rivalry is really visible. So I think wars can be analyzed from the perspective of this hierarchy, and it's really visible when the occupier changes laws in another territory, and so on. We can talk about propaganda, not only about promoting ideas, but also which terms are used, which scientific terms or which political terms, how to make people see the world from a perspective of a hierarchy, because hierarchies compete for people. They want people to join the hierarchies. Although I wrote an article about social exclusion from the point of view of this hierarchy. So sometimes hierarchies don't want some people. So it's also happening. Generally, politics is like an ocean where we can find many problems related to this theory. As we talk about problems, can a guy from Eastern Europe create a theory? I often see it. I'm not complaining. I'm not like whining here, but I'm just thinking, why is this happening? And I say, yeah, it's because of hierarchies. As I heard once, we only quote Americans here. So maybe if someone's from Greece or from China, but only if from the ancient times, we might quote him from in the social sciences. So when we teach, it's usually about American psychologists and so on. I don't say it's bad, I say it's reality. But when we compare, it's not about quality of the works. We often find that there is, for example, a Polish guy or a Czech guy and an American guy, they create similar theories at the same time or in close proximity regarding history, and the American person is famous. I know it's a controversial thing, but maybe as a European, I can be at the creator of a good theory. It's very controversial. Sorry for saying that, but this is the reality of rivalry of theories, of scientific theories. So do we need another theory? There are many theories, like, creative destruction. It's taken from economics, but it can be applied to many things. If we create a better theory, we destroy the older one and we promote it. Or intersectionality, fantastic theory. That it can be. It's even similar to this theory that I'm talking about, because there are many influences on a person and many influences on how a person is perceived. Systems theory, sure, it's from biology, but also used in social sciences. So many problems existing in the world, but also described by existing theories. So do we need another theory? But I say many new theories are appearing here and there, and why not? If we have some interesting results, maybe we should develop it. Okay, and we can think, but what is this theory answering? Is it only about who's famous, or is it about loyalty? You did that, so it means that you were loyal to that hierarchy, to the state, or to a religious organization, or to a political party, or to your family. So is it only that? But I think it's like a way of seeing things, like in theater. The judge, the referee, is a person seeing. And by using a theory, we look at things. So it's about seeing the world. I think it's about seeing social life. So what I did, I wrote a book. Well, okay, not too much of fame, but I read some parts of it today, and I find interesting things. Maybe I will not read it to you, but it's in simple language. I think it could be used. I analyze, for example, changes from from Middle Ages to Renaissance. So like about time, or how a person is making decisions. Okay, so one of the things was the book, like talking generally about the theory, but also about it's about articles. So I wrote most of them in Polish, maybe 7 of them, but one about autonomy in the constitutional hierarchy was in English. It's available online. So I'm talking about real constitutions, how a constitution is representing a rivalry of hierarchies, of systems of norms. When a constitution is created, many ideologies, systems of norms, are put in there, and people make really political fights which texts, which norms will be in the constitution. And when there is a change, it's again using fight or appearing rivalry between hierarchies. I don't know if you agree with that, but it's a way of that can be seen. This process can be seen from this perspective. I wrote an article about crisis, about changes in constitution, and also about methodology of, well, it was about administrative sciences, but it can be about, I think, many sciences, social sciences or other sciences. Well, I wrote a book about methodology of administrative sciences, but it was many years ago. And an article about individual freedom, how a person can choose between hierarchies. So now it's, what I will say is not precise. It's not very, I don't have answers here. So should I make an organization? Should I organize something? Should I think about promoting this theory? So I don't know. I'm sure that we should refine it. We should try to apply it with or without grants. So moving on. I am really terrible at answering questions, but if you want to say something, that really would be great. Perhaps you have ideas, or if you say this theory is completely wrong, please say so. If you have better solutions, okay, let's do it. I'm for the truth. So this is not for me becoming famous or something like that, but I really would like to create a good theory or just stop doing it, you know? But so this is the end of the presentation, and as I talked to Konstantinos, I am planning to organize a conference together with the College of European and Regional Studies in České Budějovice. It will be on MS Teams. It will be free. It will be in spring 2025. So if anyone would like to not only take part, but co-organize it, so this is just the beginning. Maybe in autumn we will close the list of organizers. We will think of exact date, but I would like to present maybe another speech about this theory during the conference. So thank you very much, but we can continue, we can talk. So I'm stopping sharing my screen. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
I'm sorry. And thank you very much for your presentation. It was a different presentation than, whatever we have heard in the Athena talks. So I try to be focused and to follow you. I have some questions, but thank you very much for this diversity on the presentations that you brought today to the Athena talks. So I have some questions, but I provide first the floor to the audience. If they have any questions, ask. Julia, the floor is yours, and thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much, Piotr, for this insightful presentation. So it's very ambitious. It's very ambitious to like your goal to, or your ambition to create a new social theory. So I would, a new theory in social sciences. I wouldn't dare that, but I'm not you, so. What I don't know your proposal, like what you like your proposal for your grant proposal looked like. I guess it looked a little bit more specific and much more focused than maybe your presentation was, because what I as a social scientist missed, but this is also due to maybe the target audience here, which is very variegated, not specifically to a social scientists, is which theories do you build on, which theories like do you want to try of what we know about social hierarchies or hierarchies in general? Do you want to find this grand theory behind it, how we explain social theory, social hierarchies, or do you draw on a few theories and try to give a new perspective on social hierarchies, because there are two different things. The one would be creating this new theory, a big theory on social hierarchies or hierarchies, and the other one would be, as you as you pointed out at the beginning of your presentation, would be more like applying a theory of social hierarchies to a certain setting. And then the question is, what's the question? What do you want to find out if you want to apply it? So how does learning contribute to creating social hierarchies in certain environments, maybe in university environments? you opened a bunch of big new questions and also like research avenues, like your considerations about the hierarchies between social theories or between theories. Like, when does a theory become a theory and when is it accepted? What does it make? How does it differ theory from paradigm and from theorem and all these questions? So, and does it make a difference when it comes out from China, or does from an Ivy League university in the United States? This is something very like I'm a social my research focused on China, so this is something that I would really be intrigued to find out. But again, that's your research project. It's great. You have a beginning, I think, but you should try to build up the blocks also with concepts. Work a little bit more with concepts. So that's my comment, and I shut up now.
Can I say something now? It's okay. So I will listen to your questions. It usually takes like 2 hours for me to process it, but I can answer with some ideas. So first, my first thought is that when I looked about searching about learning, which creates systems of norms, I only found Chinese research on it, you know? And they have like a group of 50 scientists working on it with lots of computers, and it was fascinating. I wrote to them, I didn't get an answer, but they are doing it. So yeah, it's very interesting. So I think China is really an empire in the field of learning and creating like systems of norms. Another idea. Well, thank you for all these ideas. Maybe we could have like a contact or a seminar, and we could think about each of these problems if you agree on that. Another thing, it's very probable that my grant proposals were not that great, but it also was like, the problem is that I didn't have good publications in Western, sorry for that, in good scientific magazines. I usually publish in Poland, some in neighboring countries. I publish poetry in USA, in Canada, but in Japan. But about scientific things, well, I should prepare better for getting grants. By the way, like 2 weeks ago, I got a Visegrad grant, but it's about teaching about rule of law, innovative pedagogical approaches. So I'm learning how to apply for a grant. So I'm only learning, and maybe with that experience, I will be able to write a better grant. Just the last thought, maybe it's about institutions. Like, the main question is like how institutions compete. So maybe that would be a question: how universities, but also countries, states compete. Okay, so that was my answer. I know I didn't answer well.
I keep some notes. Tatiana, the floor is yours. Thank you. I don't know, Julia, do you have more questions or more comments or more reflection?
No. I don't want to take the whole time. Piotr, just you answered very well, so don't be too modest. And yes, we can. You can reach out to me and we can discuss things. Great.
The floor to Tatiana.
Thank you, Kostas. Actually, I will just, so I'm an electrical engineer. This is my basic education. So I would like to give a point to the hierarchy, especially connection to the social sciences or to the law, from some practical experiences. So it's true, yes, you learn hierarchy by experiences, because I have the feeling that quite often we write down the hierarchy but we write it down probably, I don't know, wrong, because we try to be then more pragmatical, more practical. But if something is going wrong, then we stand very strongly by the hierarchy, and this means that then we are very strict, while before we took it easier or practical, pragmatical, whatever you want. This is one point that I learned, and the other one is more formal oriented, that when the law are written, they are written, of course, very formal. They should be understandable, but usually they are probably not understandable, because from the technical point of view, I don't know, or I don't understand why on earth, after the law is written, and it's written like on 10 pages, 2 or 3 books are written explaining how to use these 10 pages, or at least one book. So this is more or less just the technical point of view to the hierarchy. Do not expect really answer or explanation, but just to give you the point of view of somebody who is completely on other side as your science is. But otherwise, great talk in the way to have a different view to what we are usually used. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. If I may answer or say my ideas, my thoughts after what you said about creating law. So we should think how much it should be democratic and how much it should be like based on experts or aristocratic. So it's an old dilemma, not often said. And another thing is we can think about the role of universities. I know many theories talk about it, but is it conservative or is it concentrating on innovation? So is it only trying to keep things as they are, like in functionalism in sociology, or is it about making things better? Okay.
I don't know, Tatiana, do you want to continue?
Oh, thank you. Perfect.
Okay, thank you. So I think that I'm the less qualified person in order to follow, very well your very interesting and insightful presentation, Piotr. However, I have some questions, and forget me, if some of the questions appeared stupid, but this is because of my ignorance. I have nothing to do with the social sciences, even though that I believe that all the sciences are interconnected and they are real sciences. So first of all, about the hierarchy, the rivalry that you mentioned, of course, rivalry means competition, okay, for me. So, I mean, in science, one of the things in order to promote collaboration is like to have healthy competition, because sometimes, because the ego of the people, you have negative competition, and this works against the collaboration. So how can we teach in our classes, since one of your interests is teaching pedagogies, how we can teach our students and ourselves for a healthy competition? This is my first question.
So I think it's about passion. It's usually about external motivation. The best ones will receive prizes. It's not what you are talking about. I mean, it's against what you're talking about. And if we find passion and if we work on egos, it's not about fame. Well, it can be a motivation, but if let the best one win, something like that, I agree with you, like healthy competition, that would be the answer, but it's not a precise answer, like to make a good system. So these are all things that are connected to morality, quality of education, and maybe many other factors, also economical. But I agree with you. So we
Okay.
need healthy competition.
Okay, so the healthy competition has to do with the morality, quality, and the quality of education, some of the things that you mentioned, and the best win. This is what I'm keeping. All right. So then I would like to go somewhere else. So you define hierarchy like hierarchy within a group, or sometimes hierarchy in the interaction of different kind of groups, different interactions of the hierarchy. So I would like to ask you, what are the main parameters that they define the influence within any hierarchy configuration? Who is defining the highest influence? The top down, the bottom up? What are the parameters that they define this interaction?
So both in psychology and in political sciences, we can observe two things. So we can, from American psychology of behaviorism, say, okay, we can see that you voted this way, so that means that this political party has the most influence. So we can, judge by actions. But in political science, we can always say that the leader is the one who can lead good people, like a strong group of people. So the role of the leader, is related to the people that he or she leads. So it can be seen both ways. So I don't have an answer, an objective answer here. It only can be seen from this perspective or another one.
All right, thank you. I will keep the leader defines the decisions. I will keep, this as your response. And I would like to ask you, does hierarchy sometimes kills the democratization? For example, rankings, or even, university alliances. Sometimes, they used to say that they are killing the democratization of the universities. Who is collaborating with whom? If we prefer inclusion or, elitism within the universities. So what is your opinion on this? Do we need, and on the other hand, I cannot see any society to be able to operate without any hierarchy. So what do you think from the social science point of view?
So it's very deep. I agree what you are saying below your words. Like, yeah, we're looking for the best answers. Like, maybe we're looking for wisdoms, for wise decisions, wise organizational answers. So, yeah, rankings kill democracy. They can be seen as something like short-sighted motivation. We give you a prize who is better, but then you concentrate on like only points or something like that. So we need some deeper, wiser answers, solutions. I'm not adding anything new here, I guess. So we take a problem, we have a group of wise people, maybe from different backgrounds, and they say their perspectives. So we should ask students to make it more democratic. We should ask many other like actors, so not seen from one perspective, but from many perspectives. I don't know if it's an answer of, I'm just saying that I agree with you.
And now I'm going to comment, what Julia has shared with us. This is indeed, this is something that exists. I think the Science magazine also revealed something similar, Julia. The same thing happened with ERC. ERC, for example, does not recognize the impact factor of the journals. So there are a lot of things that they doubt or they challenge these kind of hierarchies, particularly in the academia, for some reason. However, also there is the counterpart that, somehow we should quantify the quality according to the parameters. But I will stay on what they say in consulting. In consulting, they used to say we invite them from their resume, but we hire them when they speak. And I think that this is the best lesson that we can learn. Big universities probably they exist, smaller universities exist. But at the end of the day, it's which people from the small or the big university are getting involved in joint projects. So this shows, the quality for me, not, the titles, because probably you are lucky to be there. This is like, more meaning, but it's not the time to discuss here. Okay, thank you. Short-sighted motivation. And I will say, Piotr, I'm very close to, Israeli society myself, closer to any society beyond my hometown. So in Israeli society, there is no hierarchy. Everyone behaves, look like, they are the same. They take the initiative, very free, very open and very fast. I mean, if you go to West Europe, the boss is boss. And then, if you go to China, it's the same. So how much the culture affects hierarchy?
Well, it's very interesting. We should research on that. I mean, really fascinating. I'm sure it does. I'm sure it does. But culture is a complex phenomenon, So we have religion, we have economy, art. So it's all interconnected. But really, thank you for that. It's wonderful, interesting.
And the last question that I have is like, you discussed with Julia and Tatiana about, hierarchies and about social models that I have no idea. I'm scared to. But how much do we learn from nature? I mean, in technology, we have biomimetics, for example. So we learn in nanotechnology from surfaces of different, animals or different, leaves. And how do they behave? How do they keep, the water? We have hydrophilics and hydrophobic surfaces that they imitate, leaves and nature. How much things do we learn as a social scientist from the nature in your case?
So both metaphorically, like we can talk about different societies of ants and so on, but we can look at, for example, theory of evolution. And it's really interesting to, although it's dangerous, to see how much such things can be used in human society. But I think we are, taking part in the processes of nature. So I'm sure, yeah, we are part of it.
Okay. So thank you very much, Piotr. I kept a lot of notes. And thank you very much for this insightful and, for me, very rich presentation regarding my ignorance. I'm starting to look at things different. So I would like to thank all of you for your participation today in this very nice meeting. I think that, the best thing that I'm starting to learn from the Athena talks is the creation of different group of peoples, based on their interest and what we can do. I would like to wish you to have a nice weekend. Stay safe. And we are going to renew our meeting on the 10th of May with another speaker from University of Marie Curie University, since May is devoted to the speakers from our Polish colleagues. So thank you and enjoy your weekend. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Don't forget